What up, everybody? Welcome to another beautiful Monday night here on the East Coast, even though that makes you think I am from Louisiana. Thank you, Culture Casino, for that one. We're going Spork deep, and tonight our guest is someone I've known now for a few years through the chats. I think the first time I met him was in a Nerdrotic chat. Most likely that or Geeks and Gamers. Now I watch his TikTok videos for inspiration. He's a minister. He's a father. He's an EU expert in my view. Let us welcome the great RevKev to the show. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
I like to say I think that was my best intro yet.
I'm like, who's he talking about? I can't wait to watch this. Like, who is this guy?
I want to meet that fella.
He sounds amazing.
Well, you are, sir. You are. I want to. So let everybody know a little bit about yourself. You know where you. Well, just jump in. Who are you? Where are you from? All that good stuff. Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. So my nickname that has been given to me by other people in our church for the past 15 or 12 years is RevKev. Kevin, RevKev, whatever people want to call me. I'm good with whatever. I actually live in the nation's capital of Canada, so our city has been in worldwide news a lot over the last 4 weeks. Been married, or we're about to celebrate 23 years of marriage just this coming week. I've got 2 young adult children, and I'm just a big old nerd who loves geeky things, and I also really into Star Wars stuff, leadership stuff, spiritual stuff, and lately just been really dabbling in personal wellness.
Yes, you have, man.
Including physical fitness. So
yes, you have. And I want to show people that. I want to share this. This is RevKev's TikTok account, which I think we need to move over to Instagram doing this stuff.
Right.
Okay? Because it's just TikTok has gotten worse and worse, but like you said to me, it's a necessary evil at the moment. So when was your journey? When was your weight loss journey? You turned 50, correct? And that was the beginning of your journey?
It was actually the year before that. So it was the year I turned 49. Okay. So March of 2020. So I don't remember where your headspace was on March 15th of 2020. Yeah. My world, like so many other people, got completely turned upside down.
Right.
And it was like, you're not allowed in your building anymore. Like, I'm a minister, right? Like, I'm a pastor. So it's like, you're not allowed in your church building anymore. You need to move everything online. And we're not a massive church, but we're for Canada, we're a pretty big church for Canada.
Yeah.
Running several hundred people. And
that's big for any place. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So how do you connect with people? How do you care for people? How do you support, the elderly and the sick and, people who got, mental health struggles and all of this. So everything we do had to be reinvented. Right. So in those first 2 weeks of being in my basement working from home, I gained 16 pounds. in
Really?
2 weeks. Oh, because I've struggled with mental health most of my adult life, and so my default in depression is food.
I don't know. I mean, probably know if you watch my channel, but one of the things I connected with Gary from Nerd Rock is I'm an addict, and my first ever addiction was food, and you can't live without it. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
And if you're like, part of a church, especially as Baptists, we really like the potluck.
Yes.
So we're horrible at actually feeding our addiction to one another. And we all stormed the dessert table first.
Right.
At the potluck.
It's funny you just said Baptist. I didn't realize you were a Baptist minister. My wife and I grew up a Congregationalist.
Okay.
And the very waspy, very sit down, stand up, sing your sit down. So my wife and I said, you know what? I went away from the church for a very long time. I was always, as a kid, I was confirmed. I was in the choir, the bell choir, the youth groups. I loved the church, and church politics got involved. People's, adults got involved and just messed with kids. And so I left the church anyways. Long story short.
Yeah.
And we've been looking at churches, and I said, honey, if I'm going back to church, I want to praise God. I want to feel the vibe. So we're looking at Baptist churches.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I always joke around with my friends that I'm Baptist in my theology and Pentecostal in my methodology.
So what's the difference? What's the difference with that? Pentecostal's more of like big, right? Aren't those like the mega churches?
Well, actually here in my city, they would tend to be gear a little bit more to the heart.
Okay.
And a little bit more emotive. Where in my tradition, in my denomination, a lot of the churches would be very head heavy.
Okay.
So very rich, deep theology, good systematic theology, all that kind of stuff. And so it's very heady.
Yeah.
So I think.
But are you taking care of the spirit?
Exactly. You need both. You need head and heart.
Right.
And
now,
combine them. So.
It might be different in Canada. We have Southern Baptist churches. Now, those are predominantly black churches, and they are first time I ever went, that's why I want to go Baptist, because the first time I ever went to a Southern Baptist church, it was my friend's father who passed away. We were in high school, and I was smiling through the whole thing. Like, I was like, am I supposed to be smiling? Everybody's so awesome. They're having such a good... It was a celebration. It was a celebration of life.
And I grew up French-Canadian Catholic.
Oof.
Like, so we had the nuns. Like, I was probably the last generation that still had to put their hand on the table and be whacked with the ruler, with the metal edge.
Right. Of course, the metal edge.
Yeah, they hit you with the metal, and we would just be laughing our heads off, going, "Hit me again, sister."
Right. You like that one? Father of the Year? Sorry, I thought of you. I think of you every time I think Star Wars. Every time I think Star Wars. So how long have you been a minister?
So going into the pastorate ministry was actually a second career for me. So I was actually an atheist. Most of my life. I actually only came to faith as a young adult in my mid to late 20s.
I don't think I was ever an atheist. I think I was agnostic for a while. And you realize you're just arrogant in a way to think that you're that smart to understand the aspect of what God is. And I'm not dissing anyone that's an atheist.
Sure. Because no, absolutely.
As we are in the fandom, you believe what you want to believe. I'll believe what I want to believe.
Absolutely.
You seem like the type too, you don't judge other people because judgment comes later. So I don't have time to judge.
I kind of sit there and go, I don't have time to judge your stuff when my crap is in my face every single day.
Right.
Like I have enough stuff that I'm trying to accomplish in my own life and in my own journey. So
now
if we can help one another out on our journeys, then that's a beautiful thing. Point, right?
Now, so you're an atheist, you have mental health issues. When did you come to God? When did you come back to finding God again?
So it was because I was one of those arrogant jerks that was going to actually disprove the existence of God.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, so I bought a Bible and started reading it cover to cover. Started in the book of Genesis.
Right.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, went through the whole thing.
Yep.
And got to Ephesians chapter 2.
Okay.
On my commute, because I was living in Montreal at the time, I had an hour and a half train ride back and forth to work. And just went, holy crap, this is real.
Yeah.
And I prayed a prayer, said, God, forgive me. for my arrogance, my pride, my sin, and use me for your glory. Send me wherever you want to go. Use me any way you want to use me.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
And then I went home to my fiance that I was living with at the time, said, hey, guess what I just did? Yeah, that didn't go over very well.
Wow. Wow. Well, I guess that wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Actually, we're married 23 years later. So she ended up coming to faith about a year and a half later.
So she had her own journey too.
Exactly.
So I did have one of those moments. Again, I came back. So 34, I think I was when I got clean. It's now, 34. And it was not, I went to a rehab that looked like the places you stayed looked like a crack house. It was very like state insurance. I think it was the best place I could have gone to because I was like, I never want to do this again.
Sure. Right.
Granted, they say never meet somebody in a rehab or in detox or in even recovery. My wife and I have been together 12 years and that's where we met. We both ended up working on our own paths. And I was in a car with a gentleman who also is a minister, plays drums at his church. And I'll never forget it. We were just driving. He was listening to gospel music and it was a dreary day. And I just felt I'll never forget it. I felt like a warm feeling like I just got high, but then everything brightened up. The sun split, a beam of light hit our car, and I just knew the spirit was there. I knew it.
Wow.
I knew it.
That's amazing.
I've never talked about that online because I'm also a procrastinist and all that good stuff. So even though I had that magical moment, I still was like, I'll go church sometime, but I do my, praying. I try. Exactly. I try not to be a foxhole, Christian. I do pray like driving before bed. But I realized that, my daughters are getting older. My son was just born. And I think the morals I learned in church were some of the best foundations I grew up on,
Sure.
So,
well, and even just from the concept of being a part of a community outside of ourselves.
Right.
Like that's one of the ways that we try to raise our kids too, like in that environment. Like, look, you have to make your own decision one day in regards to this. And just because you're a pastor's kid, don't want this ever forced on you, but we'll guide you in this.
Right.
But then when you're in that concept of community, you realize there is something bigger than yourself and just in how you actually care for and actually treat other people.
Right.
Especially people who think differently than you.
And that's our fandom, correct? Back to our fandom.
Yeah, exactly.
So you take that. Now you are a Star Wars fan. Tell me a little bit about your Star Wars journey, because those books behind you, those are your EU. That is your man cave area of the house, correct?
It is, yes. So that is my expanded universe collection behind us, which I actually, so I started my fitness journey in March of 2020. No, that's okay. We come back to it after.
Yeah.
But I started my expanded universe journey in April of 2020.
Oh, wow. So did you ever read the expanded universe before that?
I read some.
But not to the effect.
Not a lot. Yeah. Well, because I'm in my 20s and 30s. I didn't read.
Right.
Thank
20s, God you said that. Yes.
In my 20s and my 30s, I was actually too busy getting drunk and passing out in ditches.
Yeah, that sounds about right. About right.
I didn't read, and for me, Star Wars was fast and action, and I don't want to read some story of like Luke Skywalker and Lando talking about politics over a cup of hot chocolate, and it's like, this is stupid. So I didn't read a lot of it then, but I did have a number of books that I actually lost in a basement flood, maybe about 15 years ago.
Right.
So when the whole pandemic thing started, I was like, okay, I need a hobby. And as stores were reopening, I was like, well, I'm going to find a way to support some local businesses, secondhand bookstores, flea markets, Facebook Marketplace, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And by then I was so fed up of everything Disney Star Wars. Like I was just done, but I've always been the Star Wars guy. So
let me ask you, what was it? Was it The Last Jedi? Was it before that with Disney? Because I know for myself, I was grateful to find like people that when I saw The Force Awakens, like I was fine with Rogue One, even though the story, like the canon was a little but Force Awakens, I was just like, okay, this is I get like episode 1 and episode 4 have their like tonal kind of like they mirror themselves in a way, you know, one's a slave, but one feels like they never feel like they're ever going to leave. But it felt more to me, instead of like an homage or a continuation of 1 and 4, it felt like just kind of like a ripoff of 1 and 4. I don't know how you felt.
Yeah. Well, when The Force Awakens came out, I loved it. Like I mean, it was like beat for beat episode 4. And I actually, again, was okay with that.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. You're rebooting this. You're trying to recapture the magic. And there were a lot of people who didn't like the prequels. And I was, it wasn't that I didn't like it. I was disappointed with the prequels.
Same here. Oh, no, same here, man. Anakin. Oh, God.
Anakin. It was just better in my head. So,
agreed.
So I get what they were doing. And I loved it. I loved Rey. I loved Finn. I loved Poe, Kylo Ren. Like I'm into this.
Yeah.
Then Rogue One.
Yeah.
I hated Rogue One.
Oh, good. Let's talk about it. What was it about Rogue One?
I think Rogue One showed me the disregard for Luke Skywalker right away. And I think Rogue One did just as much damage to the character of Luke Skywalker as The Last Jedi did.
Okay. In what way?
That they made the weakness in the Death Star a man-made weakness that anyone could have dealt with.
Oh, you know what? Damn it. I don't know why I know people probably talked about that, but I never even thought of that. You're right.
Yeah. Any pilot could have dealt with this. But the reason why Luke was the new hope was because they needed a Jedi.
Yep.
And there were no Jedi.
Right.
And it was an impossible shot.
Right.
But Luke is going, that's not impossible. I do it all the time. Because you're the son of a Jedi.
Right. One of the greatest, most powerful beings in the world. Or universe.
That's why you're able to do it. So Wedge Antilles couldn't do it. Porkins couldn't do it.
Yep.
Red 7 couldn't do it. Gold Leader couldn't do it.
Yep.
Right?
Do you know in original cut of the movie, he takes 2 strikes at it? He misses the first one. And I want to say the filming, he misses the first one because he doesn't listen and he uses the computer. And then it's the second run where he makes it.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting, right?
I'd totally buy that.
Me too. I always thought that in my head. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, and that was George's always saying. That's why he blew up R2-D2.
Right.
That's why he turned off the computer. Because this is something special. This is something supernatural that only a Jedi could do.
Spiritual.
Yeah, it's a spiritual thing. It's a mythology thing, right?
Yep.
It's a Greek mythology thing that's at play here.
Yeah.
It's not anyone could do this. Everyone can be a Jedi. So right away in Rogue One, I hated every second of it.
I like that, man. Now you just turned it a bit on me because I always disliked that, but I didn't really have a reason for it. I was just like, oh, so it's made to chain react, but now it makes it like a chain reaction that was built in. So her dad really is the hero and she is too.
And Luke's a secondary character.
Once again,
you didn't need the Jedi to do it.
Right.
Anyone could have done. You didn't need Luke. Anyone could have done it. Any pilot could have done it with just enough time.
Right.
And that bugged me right from the get.
So Rogue One and Last Jedi just ruin Luke. Yeah. And then you get, and we're gonna come back to your journey with it, but then you get Rise of Skywalker, which there are none. It's Palpatine, and they belittle and lessen the role of Anakin Skywalker's sacrifice.
Right. Absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's what you just saw, the chipping away of the original characters. Right. Even the death of Han Solo in The Force Awakens. I understood it, but it was like, okay, what's the payoff of that death?
Right.
Right? Like if you're going to kill a major character, again, this is basic storytelling. This is, again, mythology, religion 101.
Right.
Right. There's purpose behind all of this stuff.
Right. The hero's journey.
There's a purpose. And so the death of the father figure needs to accomplish something.
Yes.
And the death of Han Solo accomplished nothing.
Right. It was not the Obi-Wan death.
No, it wasn't the Obi-Wan death because when he died, Luke did become more powerful.
Right.
Through that sacrifice. And
tell me this, man. Tell me when Leia passes Chewbacca and hugs Rey after his death, you didn't want to just reach into the screen and scream why.
Well, and again, there were just so many little story inconsistencies. And so that was again, I loved The Force Awakens, and and I've got, and yeah, I loved it, but it's just kind of like there's just little things just not clicking right. It's
right.
Okay,
right.
Let's see where it's going. Let's see where it's going.
Right.
And then you realize they're making this up as they go.
Right.
And
winging it.
They're winging it, you know? And it's like, man, I wish I got paid that much money to wing it. Because
me too, man. I would be living large.
I can't stand up in front of 200 people on a Sunday morning and wing it. I got to do my homework.
Right. You have to do your research too. So
earn your pay.
TT just said, but all those characters you mentioned were still kids at the time of Rogue One. And I think he actually, because he comes back to say, actually, I should restate that Luke was still on the farm at that point. Well, we're not saying that the effect of Rogue One had on canon was that Luke shot. They did find the weakness because of the plans.
Right.
Now but it wasn't told to us that it was a built-in weakness, that the father who created the Death Star always planned that someone would be able to make this miraculous shot. Like that's where it's like, it doesn't affect me as much as you're saying it affects you, because it's like, yes, there is, but it still took a Jedi to hit that shot. But you really did open my eyes on that one. Like, yeah, it should have been a miraculous spiritual, like, please let this work.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's how George set it up.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars was never about the technology.
Right.
It's not Star Trek. It's never about the technology. It's a spiritual story.
It is.
It's a mythological story.
And we lose that going into the prequels. It becomes scientific.
A little bit. Well, the whole midi-chlorian thing. And now they're trying to explain some things, but then they brought in other.
So how do you answer that? Because what I answer that to be is, okay, the prequels, there were a society that was at the time, even though it was in the past, was more advanced before the Empire came and shut down communication and teaching and this and that. So they were more advanced. They understood science better. It was almost like the Renaissance and then back into a dark age. So, or Rome and into the dark age. So they understood midichlorians, but by the time we get to Luke and Obi-Wan, instead of being like, this kid doesn't understand science, I will explain to him the spiritual aspect of this, because it has become that.
Right. Yeah. And that totally makes sense, right? Because now you're now in the dark times.
Right.
And just that implication, it's because there's this cloud of evil that just completely shrouded the entire galaxy, that there's lost information when everything was destroyed.
Right. I got to go back to TT because I love him. Yeah. But it is a bit of a stretch, but not to the point where, yes, he's not a Jedi, but he is going to be one of the greatest Jedis in that Force ability. He listens to the Force, to Ben Kenobi, and puts away technology and allows the Force to guide him. I think it's very important that was Luke, and that's how he destroyed it. But I get where TT's coming from.
Yeah. And I totally do too. And again, there's the whole, it's the teaching and the challenge of, and maybe this is kind of one of the differences between kind of an American and a Canadian, kind of on this whole idea is, can every single human being born do anything they want?
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are all born with certain aptitudes and talents and abilities. You can learn, you can grow, and you can maximize who you are.
Right. But I'll never be in the NBA.
Exactly.
No matter how hard. Right.
No matter how hard you try, you'll never be an NBA player. Right. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it isn't. It's just reality.
It's a beautiful thing.
Right.
It's actually the diversity of the human race.
Yeah. Good way of putting it, man. The problem with that is the last generation of kids, late millennials and whatever's after that. Those kids were taught they could be anything, do anything, and it should happen. Not that hard work will make it happen. That it's going to happen.
Yeah. And you can't.
No.
And then you just set up for failure, and we wonder why depression is so high, and we wonder why low self-esteem is so high. We wonder why suicide is so high. Because we're trying to tell people to do things that you can be something that you can't, and you're fighting this, right?
And I also think social media adds to that.
Oh,
yeah,
totally.
Go ahead.
But Star Wars is that.
Yes.
It's Luke is Luke.
Yep.
And
He was the only one.
Luke, you could grow to aspire to be like him. He could be a motivator and all that, but he's Luke Skywalker, son of Anakin Skywalker.
Right, right. With all his faults and all his qualities.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. And so
now, okay, so we're in 2020 again.
Yes.
You decide, and I want to show. Now, is your first one video like when you decided to start your journey, or I see week 8? I see week 8 up here.
Yeah, so that's about when I started. Yeah, so that is literally 8 weeks in.
Okay, so this one right here is you when, let's see, what's the date? 2021/7. So this is right before, really. But you know, you're looking at it. Okay, you're a little thinner now. Definitely, you gained a little bit of weight, and now we're here at week 8. So you see, I mean, dude, the difference night and day.
So this is doing it. So it's 2 months now.
Okay,
I've been doing this. So when I first started, I could barely get my hands past my knees.
This was the video. I don't know why I didn't like it. This was the video that inspired me, man. This one.
Yeah, because I'm a guy. So I've actually suffered from chronic back pain most of my adult life.
Same here.
And most people don't know about it because I'm high functional.
Right.
Like it's not crippling. Like I'm not in bed for days on end.
Right.
But there's a constant pain right there.
Right. Now, are you the type like me, you learn to live with that pain?
And you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
And I've learned that I don't sleep well.
Right.
Every single night I'm going to have a bad night's sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my back and my way over imagination.
I hear you on that.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a bad night's sleep every single night. So right here, I've got a vertebrae that's twisted this way.
Oof.
So instead of being straight like that, it's twisted this way and probably turned a little bit that way.
Okay.
And so it's all full of scar tissue. I've gone to chiropractors for years to deal with this for years.
Right.
And I think it's just a genetic thing. My dad, I think, has the exact same back issue.
My brother and my dad had it too.
Yeah. And so it's just a genetic thing.
Yep.
It's who you are.
Yep.
And I've watched my dad suffer with back pain, and he's missed out on so many things, like on our kids' lives, his grandkids, him just dealing with pain and not being able to leave the house and all of that. And I'm like, wow, that's my future.
Right. It's like looking into the future. Wow, man.
Yeah, that's my future.
Right.
And then my wife actually bought me these DDP yoga DVDs about 7 years ago.
And what does that mean? What is it again? It's
DDP.
Okay.
DDP yoga.
DDPY. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, DDP yoga. So what is that?
So DDP is Diamond Dallas Page. So if you know pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, pro wrestling. So Diamond Dallas Page. So he's the guy with the diamond cutter.
Yeah.
You know, like he had the long hair and the glasses and the bling and the diamond dolls and all of that kind of stuff. So he broke his spine in his wrestling career. And his wife at the time got him to do yoga. And his big thing was, I'm not going to do yoga. I wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. Right? He's this big 6'8", burly professional wrestler.
Right.
And he starts doing this yoga and just starts seeing incredible recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So much so the doctors had told him that he'll never wrestle again.
Mm-hmm.
And then working with the chiropractor and a number of people put together this program that completely healed his back. And then he won heavyweight champion of the world the next year.
Okay.
So he created a program. So when it originally came out, it was called Yoga for Regular Guys.
Right.
It was yoga for guys, yoga for men who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga.
Right.
And that like resonates with me. Guys like me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do yoga if you paid me to do yoga.
Right.
One, because it's girly.
Right.
And, and I'm not going to be like Gumby and all flexible and putting my leg behind my head and all of that stuff.
Usually guys that do yoga are, well, either one persuasion or trying to pick up chicks.
Exactly.
That's how I always viewed it.
Yeah. And I'm a happily married man, so I don't need to go to it for that.
Yes, sir, you are.
And the spiritual component of it too.
Yeah.
Again, as a Christian, I'm mindful of spiritual things and I don't dabble in those type of things.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wouldn't be caught dead doing it. So when my wife bought me those DVDs years ago, I did it for about 3 weeks and then just put it in a box.
Okay.
And again, in those first 2 weeks of being stuck at home in my basement during our lockdowns here in Canada.
Right. Still ongoing?
It's still ongoing.
Okay.
And well, no, it's pretty open.
It's
but
better than it was.
There's a lot of mandates.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit.
We can talk about that,
yeah.
absolutely. I just took out the DVDs and I said, I just got to start doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I took and he recommends take pictures because you need to see the progress.
Right.
Because for me, it wasn't yes, I had weight to lose, but it wasn't about the weight. It was, I needed to deal with my depression.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to deal with my mental health. I needed to deal with the fact that I wasn't taking care of myself. And I needed to deal with this pain.
Right.
And within 8 weeks, like, again, if you find, like, I have the pictures on my Instagram where I can barely get my hand past my knees,
right,
bending over. And then 8 weeks later, I'm touching the floor.
Unbelievable. 8 weeks. That's all.
8 weeks. And I was doing it. And here's the crazy thing. It was 3 days a week for about 25 minutes a session. 3
days a week, 25 minutes a session. That's it.
And that's it.
Wow.
With no joint pain, basically, with no joint impact.
Right.
To build your core strength, it's not just working your muscles, but you're working out your ligaments and your tendons.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a comment there. Arthur Borman lost 275 pounds.
Wow.
If you ever Google that guy's name and watch that YouTube video,
yep,
it'll blow your mind.
Change your life.
This guy was a crippled vet from Afghanistan, like an Afghanistan war vet. He was a paratrooper whose spine was shot because of all the times he jumped out of a plane.
Right.
And could barely walk unassisted. And then you see him a year and a half later running.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's unbelievable, man.
It's crazy.
And you know, like, now let me ask you something. I don't know a lot about yoga. I know there's like different types of yoga. Is Pilates a form of yoga, or is that just resistance? Do you know?
That's a great question. I don't actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Wow, thank you for being one of the only people on my panel that didn't lie, and like, because most of the guys, it's we all lie. We all pretend like we have every answer.
No.
That's a beautiful thing that you just did there.
I always say I don't know.
So what? How long? Now you became an actual instructor too.
So I did. So because I was getting such crazy positive results.
Right.
Again, like, and I still have back pain. Like, it's still there and it comes back from time to time, but it is so much more manageable. My flexibility, I've dropped 40 pounds. My mental health has been so much better. My flexibility, my core strength, all of that stuff. And because I'm a social media guy, I post this stuff.
Right.
And then people from my church, friends of mine, other pastors, people in the fandom menace, like, and you know, in the geek culture, started doing it as well too.
Oh wow.
And then started looking to me suddenly as this inspiration.
Right.
And it's like, okay, cool. And that's actually something that my wife and I have actually taken very seriously in our role kind of as pastors of our church, is that there is a call to follow my example as I follow Christ. Like,
kind of put up or shut up, man. You know?
Pretty much, right?
It really is.
Look, I'm not perfect. I am flawed just like the rest of us, but how do we follow my example, right? And so as I'm trying to figure out wellness,
right?
And for me, wellness is not just the physical, it's the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, all combined.
Yeah, oh God,
so,
yeah.
Right? Because one affects the other.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're struggling with mental health,
yep,
then your default is not taking care of yourself. Right?
Absolutely.
You're gaining weight, you're eating crap, and all of that, and then
not sleeping right or sleeping too much. Yeah.
And then you're sleeping in. You don't get up early to pray. You're not reading your Bible. It's like my back's too sore to go to church. Like, it's just so all connected, right?
Right.
So that first year, I see so much change, and so many people started doing it in my circles, that I just had the idea that for my 50th birthday, so I turned 50 in April 2021.
Yep.
And I said, I'm going to go for the instructor.
Right.
One, to just challenge myself to see if I could actually pull it off.
Right. Right.
Because I like it I like free t-shirts, you know, so I'm easily motivated by free t-shirts.
Right.
So if I get a free t-shirt at the end of it, then I'm really happy. So I'm motivated that way.
I'll remember that next time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a challenge for me personally. So that was the first part. And the second part really came out of my why. So when I turned 50, I was a pastor for 15 years. So I became a pastor at 35.
Okay.
50's the middle.
Right.
And then so So if I got 15 years before and I have another 15 years ahead of me, Lord willing, if I get to 65 and I can retire from pastoring at 65, I want my second half to have an even greater impact than my first half. I want to bless more people.
Powerful.
I want to bless more people. I want to help more people. I want to encourage more people. I want to see people become the best that they can be more and more. But I'm older now.
Right. Well, that's the job of the elder.
I'm tired now. I can't do it at 50 or 60 the same way I did it at 35 or 40.
Right.
So that's what DDPY was for me. It was that marker. And so that certification journey was, I need to get this sorted out.
Wow. So, and how long did that take you?
So I started in April. So I signed up on the day of my birthday. I signed up in April and I became a certified instructor. I got the official thumbs up. You're certified on December the 4th.
Wow. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, link for Scott's t-shirts. I got one. Let me ask you this. Where can I go to start DDP?
So if you go to ddpy.com, that's their official website. They have, you can do it whether it's the DVD or I use the app. They have an app called the DDPY Now app. That's what I use now for working out. Okay. I just cast it to my TV every day, and we do it there. I'm kind of trying to get a little bit better. I've split up my YouTube channel into 3 channels now because I was told on YouTube you got to be specific on what you do. I know, and I'm so terrible about that too. Yeah. No, so I moved all my DDPY stuff to a new channel called Rev It Up. Okay. Rev It Up with RevKev. So I'm trying to let me get that link because I don't think I'm actually sub to that one. Oh my God. Probably not. It's brand new. I only got about 20 people on it. Okay. So what is it? Rev It Up? Rev It Up with RevKev. If you search for that, I could find it too. Yeah. There we go. With RevKev. And I found it. Wow. 21 subscribers. I'm going to share the link. You just got 22. Cool. Sweet. Thank you. Oh, of course, man. These are the things we need to support. Yeah. Oh, someone already did it for me. Wow, you are good. Awesome. That is Mr. Grant Gregory. Everybody, Mr. Grant Gregory is producing tonight. Thank you, Mr. Grant Gregory. But wow, look at this guy. This is who you were talking about. That's Arthur Borman right there. Like, that's just a radical difference. And again, it's just been such an amazing journey, just encouraging people. And again, people from radically different walks of life. Right. Right. And what's hilarious, again, is being a pastor and being a Baptist pastor. You inherit a stigma. Right. 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 And it's like, really, do I really want to hang out with this RevKev guy? Do I really want this RevKev guy to show up on my YouTube channel? Do I really want RevKev in the chat? Like, whenever I show up in anyone's chat, you just watch the language just start changing. It's kind of like Father Christopher Martin. Yeah. It's like, oh, you be you, knock it off. Right. And so they don't get that. See, when did you start? I'm sorry to interrupt, but when did you start like Gary and Geeks and Gamers? How long ago was that? Because I swear, like, I want to go. Yeah. 2018, I met you in one of their chats, and I realized right away you had a sense of humor. Yeah, it's around The Last Jedi. Okay. So whatever that date was, so I first got kind of introduced into the fandom through John Talks. Oh, I love John Talks. So that was the first channel that I found when it came to talking about The Last Jedi and kind of a view of Star Wars. It's like, oh my goodness, there are people who think like me. Yep. Right. Because it was funny because I'm actually quite embarrassed about the tweet that I put on Twitter when I came out of the theater when I saw The Last Jedi, because I said that was a great movie. You were one of the terrible continuation of the Skywalker saga. Right. And I understand what you mean by that. Because it was so beautiful. Right. As a standalone, if it wasn't Star Wars, it wouldn't be done. The eye candy of it was, that was so cool. That was cool. That was cool. But that was a terrible Luke Skywalker story. Right. Right. And then it grew on me more and more and more. And then when I went and saw it the second time, I was like, this is unwatchable. Oh, it's such a terrible movie. Real quick, Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective for $2.99 super sticker that says fist pump. Now, let me tell you guys, want to talk about somebody who despises the whole Disney thing. That's Tommy. He went a different route with his YouTube also. Instead of like
bitching about it all the time and talking about, like I do with others, he decided I'm going to review toys, old shows, things like that. So like right before this stream every Monday, he has a reviewing toys, or you know what? I'm going to find it right now. I'm sorry, dude. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but it is called Tommy. Where is it? We will get that for you guys. It's Tommy, but it's like not just his toy reviews. Like he'll do reviews of shows. Like today he did all about Buck Rogers and the Buck Rogers toys.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, he does. I really am a big fan of the stuff he does. It's called Going Old School Retro Discussion. So I'm going to link you guys here to Tommy's last stream after this show. Check it out, guys. And please give Tommy a follow, because he is an honest, straightforward, good person who always has my back. So thank you, Tommy. All right, go on, RevKev. Cool. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Where did
That's
we leave
okay. Where did we leave off?
So you came out of the theater the second time.
Oh yes, exactly. And so that's when I just started going on YouTube, and and I'd been on YouTube for a long time and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with YouTube, from the church ministry and hobby stuff and all of that.
Right.
And then I just stumbled on John Talks and just kind of ranting and raving on The Last Jedi. And I'm like, oh my goodness, yes.
Someone.
And then from there, the next channel I found was the Drunk Freepio channel. So,
oh wow.
So his channel was still quite new at the time.
Oh yeah, that was pretty new. Yeah.
Like maybe a few hundred subscribers, or no, he probably just hit 1,000.
Yeah, somewhere in that realm. I think when I became a fan, he couldn't do live streams from his phone yet. And that was a big deal. So yeah, I was around. I probably saw you there too, because that was early on.
It was probably around that time. And then when his membership started, like I started supporting him like the day of.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Because one, he was amazing, but I loved the work that he was doing to support children around the world.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Dude,
he's a jerk. He's too good looking. He's a jet setter. And then he does all this, somewhere down the line, he's part of the cabal or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Come on. There's got to be a strike against
There has to be something wrong with him.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell everyone, he texts me abusive things. That's it. No,
well,
he doesn't even do that.
Yeah, I met him in person. He smells funny. No, I'm just kidding.
He's too tall. Exactly. He's too tall for me. I'm 5'9". That's not fair.
Yeah. So, but that work was really exciting too. Like that, what he was doing with all the orphanage work and things like that. So, and then it was kind of then from there, then suddenly the Geeks and Gamer, the Jeremy, the Ryan Kennel, and all those kind of other channels. And I just started like, okay. And again, what I love, I love the diversity.
Yes.
Right. And again,
But I thought we were all white, toxic, angry males.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing and especially when, again, being a white Baptist pastor, I get so lumped into that stereotypical, well, you obviously hate this and you obviously not, and you're obviously this and you're obviously this. And it's like, dude, you don't even know me.
Isn't that our whole thing? Isn't that our whole thing? Like, would you take a time, have a cup of coffee with me and let's just talk?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll even have a beer with you too. I'm okay with that.
See, RevKev will get tanked with you. Y'all heard it here first.
Yeah, my new thing is gluten-free beer, but that's new.
But anyways, but it goes to show you that when people say stuff like that, because we did find a community. My way into this group of people, the old fandom menace. I didn't find anybody after The Last Jedi right away. I hated it, but I didn't think about, who else hated it. Cause to me, like everyone around me liked it. And I was just like, why? But season 5, a little bit of season 6, and then the beginning of season 7 of Game of Thrones, I watched all these great, and they are great channels, but they were apologists in my view. They never saw anything wrong with the show or George R. R. Martin or anything. And I was just like, geez, man, can I find one person that will talk like negative? Because if you brought it up in the chat, people would crush you. And that's where I found Gary, and he was my entrance in. And then it was Drunk 3PO, who literally he did his first ever live on his phone in front of a car, motivated me to start my YouTube channel because I was always the guy who was like, I got to have a better computer, have to have a better camera. Right. And he was like, dude, just start. And I was like, you know what? Time to do it.
That's awesome.
Time to do it. Yeah. That's so that was cool how we all found each other in different ways, but we all like were lumped together. You know, they always forgot about the women of our group. The people that are of different cultures, different pigment, like the Dark Council and all those great people. Right. Yeah. And we turned out to be this angry hate white mob, and I never understood it.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you found Drunk, you found all those guys, and it made you found a community, right?
Well, and what was interesting was I was already a part of a Star Wars community. Mm-hmm. So I was a member of the 501st Legion.
Oh, no way.
So the costuming club. So just kind of right there is my stormtrooper.
Oh my God. Okay. I got to hear this story.
That's my stormtrooper armor that I built.
Okay.
Green accurate and I've got that costume and I do old Captain Rex.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, because I'm an old guy. I'm an old bald guy. So I can do
that works out.
And in the summertime, I do get a little darker in the summertime.
Right.
With my First Nations blood that kicks in a little bit.
Same here. It's my Sicilian that kicks in too. I'm with you.
My 1/8.
Yeah.
And I found it's like you could not say in the 501st Legion that I disliked Disney Star Wars.
That's so crazy to me.
You couldn't say it. Like
and was that like something that they
jumped on me?
Well, was it attacking you, or was it like something that they said like no one in this group's allowed to talk bad?
No, I don't think it was an official down from on high. Like, because I used to be part of the leadership team of it as well too, so I never got anything like that.
Right. Okay.
But it was just like, yeah, but Kev, but it's Star Wars. But it sucks.
Right.
It's like
I never understood the apologist.
Cool. Yeah, but it sucks. And it's and so you couldn't even have because when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we would go to the movies.
Yep.
So we'd go see a movie, right? Like I remember going to see like Revenge of the Sith with all my buddies.
Right.
Like, we're all a bunch of nerds. None of us have got girlfriends. No, that's not true. One of our friends had a girlfriend and he brought her. Like, dude, why are you bringing her to this?
Up, dude.
Why are you bringing her to this?
That is messed up. Did he end up marrying her?
He did actually.
Oh, God darn it. Then I got to give him that.
Yeah, and they're still together. It's almost 30 years.
Okay. And does she like Star Wars?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Hey, at least you tried.
but we would go see these movies and then we'd go hit a pub or a coffee shop and just rip it apart for 3 hours.
Yep.
And it was fun.
Yep. Debate.
Yeah, it was a conversation.
Yep. Yeah.
Like and we did this with everything. I remember we did this when Alien 3 came out.
Right.
Right. And right away, the first 5 minutes of Alien 3, I lean over to my buddy and go, I absolutely hate this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's been 5 minutes. How can you say that? Because they just killed Hicks and they killed Newt in the opening scene.
Done.
You just made my favorite movie in this series, Aliens, meaningless.
Guys, welcome George Lucas to the show.
Hey, nice.
That's so. Can you imagine? No, he probably agrees with us, so don't worry about that. Yeah, I remember, like back in the day before the internet got real big and before YouTube, we went and saw The Lord of the Rings, and I was like, it became something that I just
magical,
spiritual almost. Like it was just the music, the visual, but also the story and the fellowship. And my buddy sat next to me and literally did the same thing. He goes, I'm going to watch the next ones, but this isn't good. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And he was like a book purist. Right. And he's like, they left out too much. They changed too, so now I think I haven't talked to this guy in probably a decade, but I wonder he must be having like heart palpitations on what they're doing with the Lord of the Rings right now.
Oh my goodness. Canceled his Amazon Prime subscription before he can see anything,
Terrible, man. Terrible. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about stuff like that. So but before did you leave the 501st or did you ask to get, what happened with that?
So I resigned last year from the 501st.
Okay.
And I resigned, and it's touchy because it's not a reflection of the people.
Okay.
Great people, and the charity work that they do, I love it, love it, love it. It's very dear to my heart. It just got too toxic from a political viewpoint.
Right.
Like we have police officers who are part of our club, we dress up in plastic armor.
Yes.
And we play spacemen.
Yeah, as space Nazis.
To raise money for children's charities.
Which is amazing.
And these police officers quit the club because of the way they were treated by our members when the whole defund the police thing was happening.
Oof. Did members actually feed into that?
They were nasty. They were nasty. And I was like, guys, this is not right. And the club
became an echo chamber.
Well, and the club prides itself on diversity and inclusion.
Right.
But it had become, and again, this is my opinion, and I'm open to being corrected. But it became, no, it's diverse and inclusive if you agree with this.
Yep. And that sums up the last few years, man.
Yeah, and I did have to let the organizers know, saying, look, I'm resigning from this.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a public leader and as a leader in the community, I actually don't feel that this is a safe organization for anyone to be a part of.
I can't believe I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, and again, I don't talk about this. You're actually probably the first person I've ever told this, apart from my wife and the leaders that I spoke to.
Right.
That I was very transparent with. And again, and I love the club and I love the people.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be a part of it anymore.
That's unbelievable, dude. I don't know, but I feel like we're going to become a part of Bounding Into Comics article now. But that blows my mind because that was, the 501st, you always heard about the charity and you always,
it's amazing. It's
the bond that you guys all had. And to think that officers of the law, because of a narrative that, what if you agree or don't agree with it, of we don't need police officers anymore, which is to me ridiculous.
Come to Ottawa and ask me if you need police officers anymore.
Yeah, we're gonna ask you about that too. Like that just blows my mind that they would have been treating fellow 501st that probably have been part of it for how long?
Fellow nerds.
Yeah, fellow nerds that some of those guys have probably been a part of it for what? 5 years, decade, because they've been around for a long time, right?
Oh yeah, it's like when at least 25 years.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, so it was a heartbreaking decision, but it was just like, there's just enough politics in my world and and with what I do and living in the nation's capital that I just couldn't stomach it anymore. It was just, guys, like it's just too toxic for me. And there's nothing you can do about it as an organization.
I meant to put this on a second ago. Breaking news. 501st police officers back out because of how they were treated during COVID. From RevKev, everyone, RevKev from Canada. He's the one who blew this up.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Not all 18 of you go out and tell everybody.
Don't quote me on this one.
Luckily, I'm a small channel and no one watches other than these fabulous people in the chat.
That's right. You got the best people.
But you know what? This is it right here. That is so sad.
Steven, this guy is an awesome guy. I've actually had him on my channel.
Oh, cool.
Is an awesome young man, wise beyond his years.
Oh, cool, man. Maybe we'll have to talk.
Yeah, I had him. We had him.
Is he a nerd?
Oh, no, sorry. I was on his channel. So he had me over on his channel. He is, and man, he knows his Superman lore. So.
Okay, so he's a nerd in some aspect. I just I don't care if you know anything, but what you have to have one nerdism.
Yeah,
one.
Wise beyond his years.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Steven, for being here. Awesome one says, find Scott here at boundingintocomics.com. You jerk. So let's divert from nerdism for a couple minutes, because to me, it is important to talk about this. You are in the nation's capital in Canada.
I am. Yes.
And, everything going on right there, you guys are a focus of a world news right now.
I know, we really are.
What happened? What happened? Talk to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And here's the I actually said this yesterday at church as part of my sermon. And I try not to bring I never bring politics into my sermon, because the pulpit is not the place for politics, in my opinion. But I did share it. Here's the tension that we find ourselves in, as in my case, as a believer, like as a follower of Jesus and a leader in the church, is I have friends and people who I love and care for on both sides of the protest. I have people who are standing front line as protesters and people who are standing frontline as police officers.
Right.
In both. I've got friends who serve in military. Mm-hmm. Like some of the leaders in our church, like we had one of our church elders at the time, when he used to be an elder, like we'd have an elders meeting and we'd be taking prayer requests and he would just say, hey, pray for me. I'm going on mission. And I'm like, oh, well, what are you doing? And he's like, watch the news. Like these are the kind of people I hung out with, right?
Wow.
We have people who attend our church who work on Parliament Hill.
Wow.
Right. Who work for, the not just like
like Castro. I mean, your prime minister.
Pretty much like people who work in the political sphere.
Right.
Like I have friends of mine who are chief of staff for high-ranking political officials.
Can I ask you something with that? Now these people
I might not be able to.
You might not be able to answer it, but they're on both sides. But when they're at church, do they get along?
For the most part, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And again, it is one of the challenges
yep.
of the world that we live in right now.
Right.
So sadly, watching what has been going on here in our city over the last 4 weeks, for me, it's just a larger expression or a larger version of what we talked about with Star Wars.
Yeah.
The inability to communicate with someone you disagree with.
Right. Why do you think that's happened? Is it social media? Is it that instant access to listen to what I say? Like, what caused that? Because I don't know about you, but we were always raised to try to use words before anything else. Like people live different life. Like I feel like we at least America, you guys were a little more ahead of us, but at least America, we got through the civil rights.
Right.
Then there was like the busing and, in the late 80s, early 90s, kids just said, we've had enough and we're just going to be friends with people that are cool. Even if we're different, even if we don't agree on everything. And I felt like we were doing really well. And then all of a sudden, a few years ago, we find out, no, you guys made no progress. Actually, we regressed.
Yeah.
And it's like, whose narrative is this? Because I know that put it this way. I had on Facebook, I rarely go on Facebook anymore because of people I've known. I'm 46. People I've known for over 40 years, 40 years said that one person said I was a racist and I never knew you were a racist. Dude, come on. We've known each other 40 years. I am not racist. I have views. And then another person, because I never said my own vax status. I just said we shouldn't force people to get it. She said, you're on the wrong side of history. And I don't know how you'll ever explain it to your children.
I know. It's crazy.
Told me I was a bad dad.
I know. It goes for the throat, right? So again, what got us here, who knows? Well, I do know. It's called the doctrine of total depravity.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said.
Do you fundamentally believe that humans are born good and culture turns them bad? Or do you believe that humans are born bad and culture and society's goal is to make them good?
Ooh.
Which one do you believe? Well, I believe the second one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe we're sinners, and that we have to learn to be better people.
Exactly.
We all have that dark side of us. We all have those impulse issues. We all have those issues, and it's learning from your parents, learning from the church, which I need to get my kids back into, learning from, teachers that aren't there to teach you. What bothers me is because it's hard to say this about teachers, because I've had teachers from their example, not what they taught me, their example taught me how to be a better man. Now they tell you what you should and shouldn't believe. And I don't know if school's supposed to be a place of debate when you get into the higher educations. And now it's an echo chamber of you either agree or disagree. It's like the 501st.
Right. Yeah.
Which you heard here first. You heard here first that the police left because they were treated horribly. Okay, sorry.
Well, and again, and so we've lost because we've spent the last 20 years, 25 years so focused on our individual comfort.
Right.
Right.
Wow,
even the church, the church, if we were really honest, if we really, really want, why does a doctrine like prosperity catch on all over the world? God wants you to be rich.
Right.
God wants you to have everything that you want. If you don't have a nice house, if you are sick, if you're struggling with health issues, it's a faith issue. You just need to have more faith. You just need to donate more money to this preacher or to this televangelist. Like,
no offense to those mega churches, but I'm sorry, some of them don't have a good name down here.
Exactly, right? And even up here, like it's human nature to screw things up.
It's like you're telling us to donate all our money when you have rings on all your fingers. Like, okay.
Yeah. And so we raised people for the last 25 years thinking everything is about you and everything is about your comfort.
Comfort. I like that.
And to make your life as comfortable as possible.
Right.
The problem is what happens when my comfort, what I need to be comfortable, comes up against your need to be comfortable, and now they disagree.
It's conflict.
It's conflict.
Yeah.
And the entire way our legal system is set up and the way everything is set up is one person has to be right and the other person has to be wrong.
Right.
There has to be a winner and a loser. You can't both be right.
Right. Right.
So, for example,
those are laws of men.
Right. Here in Ottawa, for example, so one of the reasons why the federal government has said this is why we need to bring in these kind of war acts and change all the laws is because the individual freedom for the people who live in this city, like it's inconvenient for them to have this protest lasting for 4 weeks.
Right. Inconvenient. And right.
So their comfort
is more important.
Justification for bringing in some pretty strict laws.
Now, let me ask you about this. You've been there. I mean, you're ground zero. Have you gone down there?
I didn't.
Okay.
So I didn't. My younger sister did. So my younger sister went down the day of, like the first Saturday when like the tens of thousands of people were there. I don't know the exact number. I could be exaggerating for sure. But day one, she was there, and she said it was, for her personally, she said it was just a beautiful experience to see people exercising their right and their freedom to protest.
And that's what gets me. Like I see how the media is spinning this and the government is spinning that they're every ist and ism you can think of. But yet when you watch video of people at ground zero there, you realize that it is nothing like the summer of love in America, where mostly peaceful protests meant that only, 3/4 of the city burnt down and, only like 10 people died. It seems like these guys are really following the law and doing what they're supposed to do. Maybe, I don't know if they didn't get the right permits or whatever, but they're doing what is allowed of them peacefully, correct?
Initially.
Yes. Okay.
I think as soon as you started building structures to camp out long term.
Right.
You then broke the law.
Right. We agreed down here that there's a time limit on this thing. Get your point across and then go, because after a while you'll become occupiers.
Well, exactly. And that's the language. That's what it had become. Suddenly, they were literally bringing in wood and building wooden structures.
Right. Going a little far
on Wellington Street. It's okay, dude, okay, you've crossed the line.
Right. That's like what they did in Seattle, and that didn't go well.
Exactly, right? So an initial thing getting out of hand, absolutely got out of hand. All the trucks, and if you ever come visit our city is not built for trucks. Okay,
it's older, right?
It's an old city. It's by the river. It's got like a river going across it and a river going through it, like a canal going through it. It's not even built for cars. It's a horrible city to drive in. So you pack it with 1,000 trucks, you've brought it to her knees, which is what they wanted to do, right? That was the point.
Well, that was their plan,
right?
Right. But for how long is that plan? That's the thing. I feel like it would have ended, you're seeing, okay, so you are seeing the aggressive side of your government, the wanting to take away people's rights and freedoms, calling people that bring them gas or food, conspirators. You see this stuff that it's whoa, man, pump the brakes for a second. These are your citizens that elected you to office. Listen to them. But it's like, we don't want to listen. We just want to tell.
No. And again, the one of the core differences, again, between Canadian politics and U.S. politics is the fact that we're a multi-party system.
Okay.
Right. So we don't just have Democrats and Republicans. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I understand a little bit of U.S. politics, but 9 times out of 10, if you got the popular vote, you were president.
9 times out of 10, most of the time that happens, but right, the electoral college, you can lose the popular and win. It doesn't happen a lot, but it has.
Yeah. Whereas here in Canada, you can have the majority of the seats in the House of Commons and be prime minister with about 30% of the vote.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
So you can have a majority government.
Okay.
Okay, and the way you get the majority, so you have the House of Commons. If you get 50% plus 1 seats, you have a majority government.
So it's like your Senate, like those.
No,
those
it's
guys, the Parliament's like kind of like the Senate. Like those people are also voted in.
Because we have senators as well, so I'm trying to think.
So like English Parliament, though, we're following that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you get 50% plus 1 of the seats, you have a majority government. So that means any law you try to pass, you get 50% plus 1.
You're going to pass
anything. You're going to pass it, right? But you can get that with about 30 to 35% of the popular vote.
Wow.
Because the way the regions are broken up.
Right. That's crazy, though.
It's crazy. So you can have a majority government where the majority of Canadians then vote for you.
That is nuts. Usually it lines up. It lines up down here.
It does. And it does sometimes line up here, but it seems like over the last 20 years it hasn't.
Right.
And so that should force you to learn how to work with the other side.
You would think so. Now, you said there's more than 2, like we do have more than 2 parties, but really we only have 2 parties. Right. You literally have more than 2 parties that are active in the government.
So, so right now, so you'd have like 5 would be the main parties.
Wow.
Actually, even 6 now. So you'd have like the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau's party. You'd have the Conservative Party. They just went through a big major upheaval, canning their leader over the last few weeks.
Okay.
That you have the NDP, the New Democratic Party.
Okay.
Okay.
That's scary.
Yeah. Okay. You have the Bloc Québécois. So the Bloc
Those are the French.
That's a French. So that's a party that is only in the province of Quebec, whose only purpose is to create sovereignty and have the province of Quebec leave Canada and create their own independent nation. Wow. And they've even been the official opposition in our past.
Oh my God.
And
that's a little frightening.
1 province out of all of them.
That's frightening.
Then you have the Green Party, which is kind of a party that's had a bit of difficulty getting some traction, but usually gets a seat or 2 in there.
Yep.
And then we have a new party that I think really just kind of started this past year, which is called the People's Party of Canada, where the kind of the right-wing ultra-conservative people started drifting over there.
Okay. It almost sounded socialist, but okay. Like commie in a way, but that's think about it, Rev, and you're old enough too. We're both old enough. When things are not going well and you've swung the pendulum all the way one way, it swings back hard the other way.
And fast.
And Canada looks like, and the United States looks like, we swung from Obama 8 years to Trump. And I thought we were going to have another 4 years of them. But we didn't. But I see after 1 year of Biden,
you think
it's going to be ugly.
Right back.
Yeah, it's going to swing back. Yeah.
Yeah. And same kind of thing here. And our challenge has been just finding right leaders and
putting them
into place. It's like,
what is Trudeau's story? Trudeau's, I do believe he is an illegitimate child of Castro. I'm not saying that's official YouTube. I just said in my mind, he kind of looks like him.
The memes are funny.
Right. They're great. But why is he so, he's so arrogant in his way. And it's like, like he doesn't even, it seems like from us down here, he doesn't even want to listen to these people. He doesn't even want to give them an opportunity to say, hey, these are our, reasons why we're protesting. Please listen and we'll leave. It almost seems like he wants this to go on. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. And again, knowing people who kind of on both sides and things like that. And I actually really liked Trudeau's message when he first ran.
Yeah, it's not like
it was the we need to start getting the bipartisan part of politics out.
Right.
And learning to talk to one another again.
Right. How did that work for you guys?
It didn't last very long at all.
Right.
And then he tried to create some things to create dialogue. But then suddenly he started getting hit with all these opinions that he didn't like.
Right. And there you go. Once again.
And it's like, well, what do you mean you guys actually think this?
Right.
You know?
But once again, what we talked about, it's like he said the right things, but the minute it becomes you don't agree with me, it gets combative.
Well, and it's hard work to work with people that you come at things from a different worldview.
Right.
Right. And it's challenging. And when the system is kind of set up going, I don't actually have to work with you.
Right.
If I get 51% of the seats, I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to listen to you. So who cares?
Man. So wrong way. So wrong way to do it.
Right.
So all right, now we got truckers there, right? They're protesting mandates. These guys have been the lifeblood of both your country and mine throughout this whole pandemic. They were the first line of defense, the first responders, the people we praised at the very beginning. And now if you don't get a shot, what? You're no longer those people.
Right. I think, just where some of the messaging got a little lost.
Right.
I think probably in your country, my country, around the world, it's like, just tell us what you're doing.
Right.
Show us the data.
Right.
Data. And we're Canadian. Like, we'll do it.
Yes. See, on our side, it's trust the science, and the science is Fauci.
Right. Sure. Right. Exactly. And we kind of have the same language that's up here as well, too. We trust the science. Okay. So what's the end game here? Okay. The end game. Okay. In Canada, it took us a lot longer to get the vaccines than it did in the US. And we had tons of problems getting them. So that's why our lockdowns were so much longer. Okay. Now we're finally rolling this out. So, okay, great. We want to end this.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll roll up my sleeve. Yeah. I'll get my vaccine. Like, okay, this is what you told me the end game was.
Correct.
And then we get like 86% of the country vaccinated.
Which is amazing.
Which is one of the highest in the world.
Yes.
And it's like, why is my college-age kid going to do a 3-year college program and he's going to miss out completely on his college experience? He's going to do 1 semester in person.
Oh, my God, no.
He's
going to miss that whole experience?
Yeah, my 20-year-old son is going to graduate from college this semester with only doing 1 semester in person.
That is not, you know what?
It's heartbreaking.
Kev's son, you're going for your master's or second level because we want you to live. That is not fair, man.
I know, and I can't pay for it because I paid for the first one. So come to my YouTube channel, become a member, and help me send them for that.
You heard that, guys. Please support Rev. Seriously, because that breaks my heart. Like, I think about kids that didn't have their prom. They didn't have their graduations.
Absolutely.
Like moments that you never forget.
Yeah.
They didn't get to have.
Well, again, you talked about it earlier. Like, how old were you when you met your wife?
Right. Well, I was 34.
Okay, you're 34. Okay, like a lot of us.
We're younger.
You're younger. You kind of meet your wife. You meet your significant other. My son has spent almost 2 years in the basement.
Psychologically, what does that do to the youth? This is another thing. It's dangerous because now all they have is the internet. And it depending on if they have family that is active and keeps them engaged, or a lot of kids are just they're looking things up and getting deeper and deeper into something they're not mature enough to understand. And, because it's rah, they fall for it, on either side.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we were fortunate. I mean, having older kids, like, my son had just started college, to pursue his career in graphic design. My daughter was just finishing high school. Yeah. So I can't even imagine young families having what they went through here. Well, my executive assistant has 4 little kids, and I know how.
I have 3, and it's been ridiculous. I mean, my wife and I both have to work, and for the end of my daughter's, I want to say, wait a minute, 1st grade and the beginning of her 2nd grade, we were her teachers. The teachers made a couple little videos, but we had to do all the work with them, core math that I've never done before. Like, it wasn't fair, how do we take care of our kids, work, and support them, but also be teachers and everybody jammed together. Like if I'm not going to lie, it has caused, something that needs to be fixed, because we're not the only family that like we were so close and everything, like bickering became something that was just second nature. And it's something that we can't allow to keep going on, because that is not what a family should do.
Absolutely. And I think that's where, again, so many, and it's exactly like, it's the same in the United States, right? As it is in Canada, is so many kind of the influential leadership type people come more from a city, right? They'll come more from a city, and they kind of assume everyone who lives in the city everyone in the world thinks like them because they grew up in the city, with higher education, master's degrees, and in philosophy and all of this kind of stuff.
Right.
Where most Canadians are not.
Right. But that's
just like most Americans, right?
Right.
And so suddenly now, like I saw a post, on social media, probably on Twitter, like a meme that really nailed it, when the truckers started.
Wait a minute, is this the meme? Is this the meme? Who are these two guys? Wow, I look hot. I look so young and beautiful.
Man, I miss my hair.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
I had great hair when I was younger. Thank you for giving me my hair in that picture.
I know, man. I look good. Thank you, Mr. Grant Gregory. I would date myself. Thank you, buddy.
Crap, I look like my sister.
I was just about to ask you, do you look like anybody? I
like my sister. Yeah,
I look like a sexy librarian. Thanks, bud. That guy. But I'm sorry. You heard a meme or saw a meme.
And it said what this did is you've woken up the Canadian father.
Yes.
So here in Canada, the number one job that men have is truck driver.
Okay.
Number one. Number two for women is retail. Right? So fathers who have watched their kids on and off at home, no sporting event, can't go play hockey.
Nothing.
Can't do this, can't do this, can't do this, can't do this.
Right. Why our politicians and celebrities are going around the world with no masks on, telling us we have to wear masks. Yeah, I'm with you. And
again, we're Canadian.
So you follow whatever we're American. We'll fight you on that.
Yeah, we don't have we talk about this a lot at the dinner table, because my daughter's actually dating an American. My daughter probably going to marry this kid who lives in Orlando. And so we were down in Orlando in January getting to meet his family. They're awesome people. We love them dearly.
That's good to hear.
But it's so different. Like, we don't have a freedom of speech law. We don't have a Second Amendment. We don't have we don't have any of this stuff. We'll do it.
Yep.
But just tell us where we're going.
Yeah. See, we're different. Right? We will only do it when we know what look, most Americans would have followed it, but you lied to us on and off for over a year. Not lied, but you misled us. And and the minute we start asking, like you said before, give us the data and you tell us no, just listen. As Americans, it is our God-given right to say, F you, now we're bucking back. Look at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, there was 100,000 strangers, none of them celebrities, mayors, none of them wearing masks, but yet kids that go to school with the same kids and teachers every day are wearing masks still in that state. There's something fundamentally wrong.
And still 6 feet apart and can't do all their activities.
There's something fundamentally wrong with that.
Yeah. And so that was what was fascinating about the whole trucker convoy here, is that it woke up the fathers.
Right.
Now, yes. Is there an extreme group attached to this? I would actually say yes.
Yes.
When there is people sitting there putting on, on the internet and on social media saying our plan is to come to Ottawa, overthrow the government, work with the Governor General and take it over.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, okay, guys, that's not how Canada works.
No, and that's not how America works either. Well, I mean, we do have a right to do that, but it should be a peaceful display.
Right.
This is what we need.
Yes, that needs to be stomped out.
Yes.
Absolutely, of course it does.
Yes.
But was that 95% of the people who showed up here?
No.
No, of course not.
Nope.
Right? So I get, but then the occupiers, which part are they?
Right.
You don't know anymore.
I mean, how much did you see,
it gets
though?
So messy.
Like being local, how much did you see, talk to people? Like, because from what I could see, the news gave me this, almost militant truckers going to take down the government. But then you scour. You have to scour social media. And TikTok was a good one for that. You found peaceful people, celebrating one another, just trying to get their point across. Was it somewhere in the middle or more leaning one way or the other? What do you think?
It's hard to know because, again, I didn't go directly.
Oh, wow.
In there, but I did see. Yeah.
Did you just see that? I didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
Now, isn't the Emergency Act wartime act?
It is, yeah. So we did not enact this at 9/11.
Right. Real close to your borders, terrorists.
They came through our country.
Yes. Came through yes, absolutely. They didn't come from the south. They came from the north.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. You guys were just, skating or something.
Yeah, well, and I used to be a computer consultant. I worked in the World Trade Center.
Oh my God.
I had colleagues in the World Trade Center.
I am so sorry to hear that.
So yeah,
I don't live far. I live like an hour outside of New York City. Yeah. And that was painful. But so you didn't enact it then, and now over your own people protesting, you're going to enact it to do what? Well, take them out by force?
Because we had other protests happening in other parts of Canada. So we blocked off the bridge, between the U.S. border and like Detroit and Windsor, so like that major, transport bridge that, like coming into Detroit, like we just shut the auto industry completely down by closing up that bridge. They opened up this stuff without this emergency measure in place. Right. So again, what is the point? What do these laws allow you to do temporarily that you couldn't have done before? And again, most of us will sit there and say, okay, if you could show it to us.
Right.
I'd say it's okay if you could show it to me.
If you can, but that's the biggest thing for you guys is we have to see it.
Just show it.
I think that makes sense.
No, it's open. It's open and honest communication.
Oh God, you're talking about politicians, man.
And I think, and that's the challenge of it.
I love your faith. I love your faith.
I'm so naive.
It's not naive. It's positive. We'll go with positive.
Well, and I do think we can get there because again, I do know people who work there.
Right.
And I know,
and they're good people.
They're good people. Like they're not evil dictators trying to take over the world. Like I don't.
But let me ask you a question.
That narrative. I just think sometimes they're not too bright.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
They might not be these evil people, but when somebody believes in what they believe, they will make decisions that they think are right.
Yeah.
That are not. Like look at Germany. Like neighbors that turned a blind eye are as guilty as somebody that put Jewish people on a train, so
right.
When do we say, okay, enough's enough? Like, please, let's get together. Let's sit down. Let's talk about this. This has been now a pissing contest. It seems like.
Well, and and I think that's the challenge. And one of the things that I think we've lost the ability of, which is funny to say this as a Canadian.
Yes.
Because Canadians are known. What are we known for? We're known for saying
yep.
And saying I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. One of my favorite, Strange Brew, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Exactly.
One of my favorite movies. You guys, I mean, as an American, we were always taught that you guys are the pleasant version of us.
If we drive into your car while you're parked, we'll say we're sorry.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if you drive into my parked car, I'll say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was parked there.
Yeah, like, so exactly. Awesome. Oh man, I'm out of the way, eh?
That's amazing. I got to move to Canada. I will rule it within a year.
We're losing this ability.
Right, you're losing that.
To say I'm sorry.
So are you losing what it fundamentally means to be Canadian?
That's my worry.
Yeah.
It's if we cannot say I'm sorry, like, and it's not the same of having a government that says sorry for other people's actions.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've been going through, a lot of things over the last 2 years. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've been following kind of the residential schools, with the Native people. And so like so they had like schools that were government and church run, where they literally took First Nation children away from their families, forced them to live in these schools.
Oh, wow. That's nice of them.
I know. It's great. It's a good thing in
didn't we learn
history.
about that back when we forced them to move to reservations?
Exactly, right? And then they have recently found over the last couple of years several mass graves of these unmarked graves of these children, like hundreds and thousands of these kids.
I did hear something about that. I didn't realize that was, wow, man.
So
that sounds like you're going to find that somewhere in a third world,
I know, and this
dangerous
is here.
country.
And again, as a religious leader, it's part of our heritage here in my country, right? So it's not that you did it, but you got to recognize the sin of that.
Yes,
right?
and admit that it was wrong.
And so you can say, I'm sorry.
Yes.
For something that you didn't do, kind of own that. And so it's easy to say sorry for something that you didn't do.
Right.
It's harder to say I'm sorry for something you did do.
Right. Right.
And I just feel like, again, this is just my own personal opinion.
Right.
We're losing that.
In
our politics.
I kind of understand where you're coming from. So as a white male in America, you do get a lot of it's your fault lately. Yeah. And, blamed for, I had somebody come at me once. That's why, again, Facebook, never going to be on it again. Someone came at me as your great-great-grandfather owned mine. You don't know what you're talking about. Dude, my grandparents weren't born in America,
Right. Yeah.
I did still say, I'm sorry for what happened to your people, but how do you blame everyone when the majority of Italians and Irish and Polish and even Germans came in way after slavery was done?
Right.
Well, maybe not Irish, but Italians.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so it just creates this mess.
Right. Of who to blame.
Of how we do this. And what is the end game going forward? Like, what do we hope to accomplish?
Right.
Let's learn from those mistakes.
Right.
And grow and become better people because of it. Let's become a better nation because of these things.
Yep.
And understand that it's going to be a messy conversation as we deal with this.
But it has to be a conversation.
But it has to be a conversation, and you got to be able to have the humility.
Right.
One of the things that I have been saying a lot over the last couple of years. So again, I'm a leader in the city here. I'm a leader in our community. I've got good relationships with our city councilors, with our provincial politicians, with our federal politicians, because I'm a community leader. I will work with whoever you are, whoever's sitting in that chair. I'll work with. I don't care if you're a conservative, a liberal, a New Democrat, a pot party. I don't care. I'll work with you because I'm working for the greater good of our community.
Yes, right? And it makes sense
to be the hands and feet of Jesus in our community. And how do we care for the least of these? How do we care for the sick and the widows and the orphans and all of that, right? And so one of the things that I've had to do over the last couple of years, and I say this unapologetically, is I've had to learn how to eat humble pie.
Right.
And say, you know what? Like when I made the decision to keep our church online for over a year, that we were not meeting as Christians in our church building.
Were your liquor stores still open?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Things like that. Vices were still allowed.
Exactly. And we were allowed, but there were so many restrictions on it.
Right.
That we're going to get, like, out of the 300 people who call our church home, I'll get 30 people to come.
That's terrible.
And
no offense, but that's terrible.
It is. And do I want to do all this work
to
get 30 people into the door on a Sunday morning?
Right.
It's not a good use of our resources.
Right. And who do you choose? Right. Who do you allow? That's not fair.
Right. And things like that. Right. So I made the call to keep everything online. Now, was that the right call? I think we've seen evidence that it was a good call.
Right.
But I could be wrong.
Right. But was it the best call? Okay, so you have to admit to that.
So I have to admit that. And one day I might have to go, you know what? I made a bad decision.
Right.
I'm sorry.
So time will tell. You're sorry.
Time will tell, right? And so this is the thing. So as leaders, no matter what you lead, whether just leading your family, whether it's leading a small group at church, whether you're your Star Wars club, your YouTube channel, you're the president of the United States. I don't care what level you lead.
Right.
We have all got to get better at eating humble pie.
And that's the problem with a lot of people.
And this is, again, from my Christian perspective, is humble pie tastes amazing at the foot of the cross. Because God loved me so much in my sin and how much of a horrible human being I am.
But yeah, that's
that he would die for me.
Yeah.
So how dare I not
go far.
Go far for you.
and admit my flaw and admit that. What's so hard about sorry too?
This is it. And you own it and then you try to figure it out, right?
Right.
And
see, what I can't stand is the I'm sorry, but.
That's not an apology.
But is never, anything before the but means to me nothing.
It's meaningless. Yeah.
It
There's
is.
no apology there.
It is. You know, and I want to, before we get off the air in a little bit, because Yelling at Parked Cars is coming on soon, I do want to talk to you about what's happening, because in a way, to me, we're kind of bleeding into our fandom again.
Right.
The Lord of the Rings fiasco that is Amazon right now. The idea that they are not wrong for what they think they're doing is right. Like, I don't know how to say that correctly.
Right.
To me, forced diversity in a story that didn't have it, instead of creating your own that has it. And then not even apologetic, just straight up, this is the right move, to me is something. And now the fans are toxic again.
Yes.
It's the same old Star Wars, Game of Thrones, you know, let's go down the line of every time we disagree with them. Superman. Every time we disagree with them, we're toxic.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
Did you watch Peacemaker before we go into Lord of the Rings?
I didn't.
Okay, guys, spoiler for Peacemaker's season 1 finale. But a character in it turns to him and asks Peacemaker to join them because they want to control the human population, because they rather hold on to their freedoms than give up some how does she put it, some creature comforts. But that's not what freedoms are. See, as an American, freedoms aren't man-made. These are God-given gifts that no man can take away from me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so you're pretty arrogant if you think you can. All right. So I want to share this. We're going back to Lord of the Rings. This was an interview with super fans. Let me say that one more time. Super fans. Okay. We'll jump around a little bit, but let me put on closed captions because it's easier for me to see what they're saying. Here we go. Let's talk about diversity in Lord of the Rings.
A lot of stuff that you probably read about it. We're introduced to the first black elf. We're introduced to the first female dwarf. Now, diversity, especially on screen as an actor, means a lot to me because growing up, I hardly had that, you know, watching TV and watching a lot of films and stuff. I never saw people of my color. So it's exciting to see that, you know, diversity is being explored in the Rings of Power. What are your thoughts on the casting decisions then?
I'm very excited for it because Tolkien's work was always about being inclusive. I mean, we see it through the Fellowship, like a bunch of people from different backgrounds coming together in order to face a common enemy, being Sauron, and just seeing
Valid point. Valid point he has there.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Positions. It's really, really exciting to see. It's just going to mean so much to like me personally because it's getting that representation in Middle-earth. Young kids are going to see that on screen, and it's just going to be really nice for them to be like, oh hey, there's someone that looks just like me, being like an elf and a dwarf, and yeah, it just fills me with a lot of hope for like the future of the Rings of Power and seeing like much more diversity being included as well.
It's going to be inspiring, right, for the next generation.
Let's see. Hold on. I just want to get. Not to this one, but the next girl.
For the next generation, because like, as you said, like growing up, like I was still excited about being an elf or a hobbit and joining in with it, even though I wasn't represented, like even like my disability or my queerness wasn't represented. It just makes me so happy, it makes my heart warm, like gonna be seeing younger people.
Okay, so my question to you is, we know who, Darren, how are you, my friend? Darren is going through, he just had a tumor removed in his, out of his head. And,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
God
Darren,
bless you, man.
He has been fighting hard, and Darren is one of my OG A Song of Ice and Fire followers, and I just hope everything is good with you. Yeah, Ollie G got some wicked sick hand moves. He does. This idea that taking a man's story, a devout Catholic, a story about England's mythology in the turn of the century, and forcing diversity into it by creating new characters. I mean, the man had a rich history. Now you create new characters. Yeah. You're changing his mythos. and adding characters that personally I don't think he would have approved, definitely not from his era, but even with his religious beliefs,
Right.
you know, gay characters. What do you feel about that?
Yeah. The decision that they've made in the direction that they're taking this was completely expected for me. Like, nothing is surprising.
Right.
That this is what's been done. And again, I find it sad because, quite honestly, one of the things that I actually really admired is when John Boyega, you know, kind of after leaving Star Wars and wanting to start up his own production studio,
right,
and wanting to tell his culture's stories,
right, new stories.
Like I am super excited for what this guy's gonna release, hopefully someday soon.
Right.
Like, create something new.
Yes.
And this has actually been my biggest thing about Star Wars too. Like,
right.
Like, stop playing in this timeline between the two trilogies. You've already screwed it up. Stop playing there. Make something new.
Right.
And get us excited about it. Like, I would love to see more. I'm okay with stories of diversity and all of these kind of things if it fits the story.
Right. Or if it's 150 years ahead of the story.
Yeah.
You know, like with Maya's Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, now we have House of the Dragon. The Targaryens, the Valerians are like are elf, like they're designed after the elves. They're men, but they're special. They have they're special. They have the ability to you know, link up with dragons if it's magical or telekinesis, whatever you think it is, it is. But they are tall, platinum hair, purple eyes, light-skinned people.
Right. Yeah.
Now what you're doing is taking one of those characters and making him a very dark actor whose grandchild is part of a paternity scandal. Now, if the thing with the Targaryens is anytime they have a child with someone who is not of Valerian descent, that child takes on great aspects of that other culture. Dornish, they will be darker skin, darker hair, darker eyes. So now you're telling me that a child who would have the paternities between the mother and her uncle, people believe, you know, had the baby, or the mother and the son of this very dark character. You're going to see there's a difference in the baby. I'm sorry, the way the genetics work in this world.
Right.
And if you're changing diversity that doesn't affect the story or canon, I might be okay with that, but create your own, man. Create your own.
Yeah. And I guess it's this struggle of taking existing stories and then changing them. Like I remember what was that? This came out a couple of years ago with this whole debate on what movie was it? It was like a World War II movie, kind of, you know, storming Pearl Harbor kind of movie, you know.
Okay.
Where basically it's a bunch of white guys storming a beach.
Right. So like either like Saving Private Ryan or something like that.
Yeah, kind of a thing. Like it just is that's their story. It's the story
their history
of this combat unit.
Yes.
And then if you throw diversity in there for the sake of diversity, but then it's no longer their story.
Right. And why? Okay. So like
it just challenges because it's disrespectful to the story. Like,
right. And mostly when it comes to history too. Like when you change Henry VIII's wife, and I always say her name wrong, Anne Boleyn, to a black female actress and tell us deal with it. It's just show. But then we defend, I mean, it's crazy because us toxic fans are now defending a 15-year-old actress who is playing, her last name is Gomez, who is playing American Chavez in the MCU because she is of Mexican descent and American Chavez is supposed to be, they say, of Puerto Rican descent and a little darker skin. Like where's the hypocrisy in that? Because there's a lot of it. You're telling me you have to deal with this no matter, just because she's black doesn't mean she can't be an actress, take over a white role, but a little darker shade of call it person's skin tone, you're upset and we can't say anything about that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And this is the challenge of the divert, you know, everyone has to see themselves in their entertainment.
Right.
I can't think of the last time I have seen an evangelical Christian portrayed well in entertainment.
Oof. Well said. Unless it, wow.
Right.
Well
So-
said. I mean, unless it's like a Kirk Cameron movie.
Yeah, and they're terrible. I don't like
They
those.
are. I know. And he's, you know, I got to give him credit.
And I was in one of his movies.
Were you really?
I was.
Oh, you got to tell me later. I want to watch it. But you know what? At least
But
he's
you know what I mean?
trying.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there going, so if I don't see me
Mhm.
as an evangelical,
Mhm.
you know, and again, and not the stereotypical what you read in the news type of evangelical who's angry and hates everyone, but who tries to live the way we've been talking for the past hour and
Right.
a half.
Right.
I never see me
Right.
in
So
anything.
let me
And
ask you this.
and
That's
the
okay though,
challenge,
right?
And that's okay for me.
But
Like,
let me ask you, did you watch Blade and have to see yourself as Blade? Like, what I don't understand is the idea, and we have some great YouTubers, like the guys on the Dark Council, Lorena
Yeah.
Creel, Jane Theory, these people that are either black or Latino slant, these people that are
Right.
of my so-called minorities in America that didn't need Superman to be black, you know,
Right.
didn't need
Right.
Wolverine
Yeah.
to be like,
Well, and the whole thing that we've never seen, people of color or different sexual orientations in geekdom before.
right,
It's just not true.
right.
I mean, I grew up like some of my favorite heroes growing up were women.
Right.
You know, what was Ripley. Sigourney Weaver's character, Tomb Raider, Laura Croft.
Yep.
On the PS1, it was the first game
Yep.
we bought on the PS1 was Tomb Raider.
One
Like-
of the best games that year, man. Maybe
Yeah, she
of
was
the next couple years.
badass. Like
Yep.
it was mind blowing. Like
Yep.
Lando Calrissian, like all
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia, like again and again and again, in the Lord of the Rings, you had Eowyn kind of destroying the
Yep.
Witch King. Like
Yes, she's the one that kills the Witch King.
in Tolkien's writing.
Yes. Yes.
So this idea that this is new
Right.
is not new. It's just because you're new to this genre.
Right.
See, and this is where I joke about this with my kids, because all this stuff now that they're into is cool,
Right.
right? Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Yep.
and all of this stuff is cool. It's like, do you realize back in high school I used to get my ass kicked every single day because I
Oh.
like this stuff?
I was a closet dork.
I used to get beaten up
That's crazy.
regularly in my
See-
French Canadian high school.
See,
for
I was a
liking this
closet
stuff.
dork. I was a closet dork, buddy. See, look at him, everybody. He got his ass kicked. Poor guy.
Exactly.
But see,
That's why I'm working out now, so it'll never
that's-
happen again.
See, like I was captain of my football team and student council president, and I don't think it wasn't until my senior year where I finally said, "Hear me now, hear me. I'm proud. I am a dork." You know? And it took one other guy that said, "No, dude, I read EU books." And I was like, "Dude, why am I hiding this?"
That's right.
But
Yeah.
that's how it was back then. Now, diverse, like the more diverse you are, the cooler you are. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You don't get it. So let me just play this real quick because these are super fans. Let's not forget.
That's right.
Rings happening or like
Hold on. Here we
So
go.
from the teaser trailer, what intrigued you the most?
rings happening or like being
Rings?
formed?
In the lore, Sauron basically helps forge the rings, and so I think they start making some initial rings that don't have much power. So, but
The way
yeah,
you describe it,
Okay. I am not a diehard Tolkien guy. I love the movies. I've read the books once.
Yeah.
To not know the rings and to know that Sauron created the Ring of Power to control them, and he had a elf.
And he deceived everybody else to make
right.
all the rings.
Right,
That's
he
just
had-
in the opening monologue. of
Right,
the movie.
Caladran or something like that was the elf he deceived to create the rings for men and rings for dwarves, and then that guy figured it out, so he secretly made the rings for the elves. And to call yourself a super fan, to me, this
And
is
not know that.
disrespect. This is disrespectful,
Yeah.
and you're a poser, and that's not diverse to me.
Yeah.
You couldn't find young, black, and disabled and women. You couldn't find true super fans. You know why? Because a true super fan realizes that this is BS.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
BS. There's one more too. I mean, listen to this kid.
I found that Sauron's in a ring store. I'm like, can I try that one? Can I try that one? I'm a size
they have
five.
no clue. And then there's a part up here. Hold on. They're talking about Sauron. Here, wait a minute. Where is it? And it's like, he's a
That's
bad boy. He's like, he's a bad boy and we want to fix him.
In that dagger.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that dagger too.
I feel like there's gonna. Not he's my ex.
In like a forbidden romance kind
Oh,
of
here.
thing. And like during this period, like humans and elves weren't really getting along. And so I think that's where some of the conflict might be coming
Yes,
in.
the fighting.
Yeah.
The fighting.
Elf ears. Right, I need a reason to tell everyone watching.
So I'm not going to find that part, but the kid was like, the boy in the middle was like, you know, I hope that they have Sauron, you know, I hope, you know, they make him younger and better looking because, you know, I want him to have that depth of, you know, like, why is he doing it? And we could feel for him. Sauron is like the evil incarnated, you know?
Yes.
He
He's
is,
the devil.
he is Lucifer.
It's exactly. The angel of light. It's
right.
Like, you know, the fallen angel of light. It's
Right.
Like,
But the kid goes, I want him to be something to the effect of the bad boy you want to fix.
yeah.
Like, dude, you don't understand. That's
who you want to date. That's not
Right.
who you want as the main villain.
Right. This is European mythology created by a guy who was in World War I.
Yeah.
Like, and now you are using your ideas and your today's narrative to force your opinion on somebody's masterpiece.
Well, and I always go back to, and I talk about this a lot on my YouTube channel as well when I talk about Star Wars. It's like you need to study mythology and you need to study religion
Right.
to write Star Wars.
Right. I mean, it's the hero's
Because
journey, first
Because
off.
if you don't understand that, you don't understand what you're actually writing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And it's the same thing in the Lord of the Rings too, or Narnia, or any of these kind of things that were written by people. If you don't understand their context for how they wrote this,
Right.
you're not writing Star Wars. You're not writing Lord of the
Right.
Rings. You're writing something else.
Yeah. Something else with that name attached to it.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with you writing something else.
No.
Just call it something else. Make a new fantasy series and do all of this stuff in.
I'm with you on that, man. And the problem is
And I'd watch it.
I would give it a chance, definitely. But you took Star Wars and you took some really decent actors and some great actors in the sequels. And you just, after the first movie, the problem having different directors and different writers, you threw away every storyline we thought was coming, you know, and put the black actor in the background, the Asian actor in a burlap sack, but diversity's number one. You know, like, it just, they're hypocrites.
Yeah,
Hypocrites.
it's messed up.
So we're going to have to end it here. We've been going
Sure.
But I would love to have you back on first off.
Anytime. This was great. I had a blast.
I hope you had fun. Let
I
them
did.
know.
I love this.
Let them know where to find you and any parting words for the people that are in the chat and will be watching this later.
Yeah. So the main YouTube channel where I kind of talk about all things geeky is RevKev. It's just my geek corner. I talk about Star Wars Expanded Universe. I talk about Star Wars board games and miniature games and different things like that I'm into. I just recently switched my channels up, so now I've got a second channel called Rev It Up with RevKev, where that's where I'm focusing on the DDP yoga, the DDPY, and just helping one another grow in wellness, whether that's emotional, mental, or physical or spiritual. I love to come alongside people, help them become whole and well. And so you can check that out. And then just a third channel that I just launched a couple days ago is my son and I do music reactions.
Oh, dude, that's so awesome.
So we've been doing this for about a year and a half now, and it gets buried into my channel. So we decided to move it into its own channel. So my son's really into hip hop, and we have lots of fun having the old man listen to Kanye West music. And he tries to educate me in his, and so that's
so what's that channel?
RevKev Reacts.
RevKev.
You can find that.
Reacts. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I will make sure we save that. I'll find it later, but we'll make sure we save that for later. I really do, man. I appreciate this. I also, to let people know, I think I am going to split my channel. This will be my main channel talking about the fandom. And then I'm working on a second channel, which will be Political Spork, I think will be the name of it, where we talk more about some of the other things we just talked about to try to keep them separate. Maybe the algorithm won't kick my ass so hard.
Exactly.
But RevKev, you need to focus more on Instagram than TikTok. I'm telling you.
You're right.
You will grow, and TikTok is... I'm trying to make them kick me off. That's my plan.
I am on Instagram. I'm not. I use it mainly to spy on my kids.
Yeah.
But I do use it.
Perfect.
You
And
can find me there.
thank you, man. And everybody, thank you to Mr. Grant Gregory for producing this show tonight.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
I stole him from Martigan. Producer, diversity coach. I don't know what else he called you, but I stole you. Let them know where they can find you, Mr. Grant Gregory, and thank you for your help.
All right, as long as you let me out of the basement.
No, you're not coming out of the basement.
Okay. Well, you can find me anywhere where it has Mr. Grant Gregory, assuming that it's me. If it's not me, then it's someone else with a cool name. So, yeah, all the places. So,
And don't forget, at some point, I will watch episode 3 and 4 of the OC, and we'll have the OC Bros on Mad Martigan's channel. But guys, again, if you're watching this later, please support RevKev. I will get his links and put it in the description. But until then, oh shoot, I don't have that here. So let me slip over to the dump. We are going to truly thank the channel members, RevKev, and all these other amazing people who have either supported me all the way through or even just a month or two here. I thank you all. You guys are the best. This is for you. Have a great night, everybody, and God bless. Peace.
it's not the same if no one's talking over the top of it.
Yeah, I know. It's different. I was trying to try something new. It feels weird. But he updated it, so that's cool. Culture Casino finally did some work.
It's still loud, though, but it's all right.
It's always loud. He has 35 people working for him. RevKev, say goodnight.
I'm aware.